Welcome to the Generation Elevation podcast, a conscious, connected platform for those who are ready to manifest their dream life. I'm your host, Elise Riley, a former PT, now motivational speaker, igniting empowerment and transformation all across the globe. Here at Generation Elevation, we are committed to bringing you the most inspiring guests who will share their stories, wisdom, and advice to help you progress closer to living a life of your own terms.
Welcome back to another episode of Generation Elevation. Now today I am super excited to be able to share this with you all because it's something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I've been hinting it for a while on especially my latest few episodes where I manifested my trip to Croatia, Rome, Paris. I predicted the future. I had a premonition that came true. I've even hinted it on when I moved to London, where I just had this gut feeling and I needed to go, and then I did. And all of a sudden now I'm here living my best life and experiencing things that I never even knew were possible. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how you can tap into your own psychic abilities and gifts and how to enhance them within yourself so you can go out and have these experiences too. Now, I believe that every single one of us is born a psychic. Now, I'm just using psychic as a label, and before you go, whoa, this is too woo for me, you can call it woo, you can call it spiritual, whatever you want to. But I believe we're all born with this ability to be able to translate vibration of this universe, because we live in a vibrational universe of energy and information. We're able to translate that through our five senses: sight, taste, touch, smell. And with this information, we can then utilize this to evolve and grow in our life. If you have been a long-term listener, you would have heard my early episode with my psychic mentor, Simone Patrice, where she also speaks on how we're all born with these abilities and these gifts. Some people are more open to it than others. And if you have felt skeptical in the past or a little bit triggered by woo-woo people, then I encourage you to just take a breath and know that through your skepticism, you could be blocking out something that could potentially change your life. Because for me, it truly changed mine. In the past, I believed that I didn't have time for meditation. I didn't have time for spiritual stuff, that it was just a bit woo for me. And that if I spoke about that kind of thing, what would everyone think? And if you are listening to this episode right now, I am highly certain that you have these abilities within you and you know this yourself, but potentially you may have just blocked this in the past because, one, maybe you are fearful that you might seem crazy to others. Maybe you're second guessing if you're actually making it up in your head or if it's real, because we live in a society that teaches us that if you can see it, it's real, but if you can't, then it's not. And for me personally, I knew that I was born with these abilities and gifts, but through high school, through trying to be like everybody else, I kind of blocked these things and pushed them away until I had my own awakening, per se, what have you, which really unlocked all of these abilities back open again for me, where I started learning how to trust myself, learning how to love myself, and elevating my energy, my vibration, letting go of negative emotions, and therefore building this utmost confidence within me to then realize the difference between something that I was making up in my head, a low vibrational thought, from fear, versus receiving an idea, a message from love, from a higher vibrational state, a synchronicity, a intuitive knowing. So if you're listening to this, I'm going to be teaching you the types of abilities that you can have, signs that you have that ability. So I'm going to list off a couple of things that people with certain psychic abilities will experience. And then I'll also then finish off this episode with how you can enhance yours, because I may go through this list that I have here and you may not be resonating at all, but you might still be listening, wanting to know how you can enhance your gifts and abilities that you do have. Know that these are all learnable traits and qualities that you can practice. And I would like to share with you similar stories that I've experienced when I go through each one. So to start off with, the types of psychic abilities that are out there that have proper labels would be, first of all, clairaudience. Okay, so clairaudience is basically in regards to sound, your inner ear. We have clairvoyance, which you may have heard of. It's quite a popular term. Sight, dreams, vision, etc. Clairsentience is more so an inner feeling. And then we have claircognizant, which is clear knowing, like you know when you just know. And then clairgustance, which is taste. Okay, so people that can experience these abilities through taste, right? Then we got clairalience, which is smelling. Clairtangency, which is touch. Okay. Then we have other things like astral projection. We have automatic writing, which I'll share with you a bit more about as well. Energy healing, the divination, and mediumship. Okay. So I'm going to quickly go through each one and signs that you may potentially have this gift. So you may be able to resonate with some of the signs, symptoms of being gifted in this area. So, for example, clairaudience. Let's start with this because this is one of my stronger traits. For me, I did not realize that I had these abilities until I started learning about them. So I'm excited to be able to share this with you all today because as I list through the traits and qualities of people with these gifts, you might be going like, oh my gosh, I also have superpowers. It's so freaking awesome. So starting off, clairaudience. So you may experience, if you're clairaudient, your ears ringing, buzzing, tingling in your ears. You might have a voice that comes to you, but it's inside your mind. Some people, I remember there was a trend a few years ago, I don't know if it's still trending, where you'd ask someone, do you have a voice in your head when you think, or do you have two or more than one voice? And I remember asking this to a few people, and there was some people that would have this inner voice, and then there were others that didn't. And I was like, what? What do you mean? That's so strange. I thought everyone had this. I also receive messages in songs. So if you ever have a song stuck in your head, I highly encourage you, go and look up the lyrics. Go and look up the meaning of this song, because usually the deeper meaning is for you and what you need to hear in your life right now. As soon as you look up the meaning, the song will stop playing over and over in your head. It's amazing. So messages come through in songs. You might hear messages through conversation. So I remember, shout out to my beautiful client, Mel, back in the personal training days. Every time we had a session together, she was always saying to me, you should sell booty bands. You should sell booty bands. You should sell booty bands every single session. And I was like, if you want me to sell booty bands so much, maybe you should sell booty bands. And I remember, I don't even know, I think I was journaling and I started to realize that actually maybe this message of me selling booty bands is coming through Mel because I'm not listening to my own intuition. So if it comes through Mel, then maybe I'll actually listen. So if someone keeps telling you about a certain topic or a certain thing to invest in or something that you should try or a place that you should go, go and do it. If it's something that's repetitive and you've thought about it for years or months even, go trust that. You might have an internal dialogue constantly going on. You might be quite sensitive to sound, and when people are talking, they might ask a question and you might have the answer come to you in your mind. Okay, so that is for like clairaudience. Now, clairvoyance is someone who is gifted with sight. So not necessarily like what you can physically see with your eyes. However, that is also part of clairvoyancy, where you may be able to see auras, see spirits, see people that have crossed over. Or you can also have visions, like when you meditate, you might see colors, you might have really strong visuals, symbols, colors. I've said that already. You might have like a good vision of places. You might be a visual learner. You might have a very deep, like attention to detail, very observant. I know, like for me, I'm super sensitive to aesthetics. I like things to match. You might see things that others do not, and you may have intense dreams. Like for me, as a kid, I've always had super intense dreams and I've always been able to remember most of them. You also may be a daydreamer, so you might be able to just like drift off and daydream quite often. And also, if you had imaginary friends when you were a young kid, then it's highly likely that you are clairvoyant. For me, like I said, I always experience intense dreams. I don't remember having like really prominent imaginary friends, but as I have been more open to my gifts and abilities, I've been able to access the skill of seeing auras and actually seeing spirits with my physical eyes. I remember, shout out to my beautiful friend Hillary, I went to her house and her dad had passed away, and I remember being in her house and I literally saw like this being across like the wall. It was like a shadow. I've never experienced anything like that in my life, and that was like the first time that I started seeing spirits. But this is something that is a rare occasion for me. Like it doesn't happen quite often, but it definitely does happen. Then we have clairsentience. So clairsentience, you're probably going to most likely resonate with this one, is being able to read the energy of a room. Like most people listening to this podcast, I'm sure that when you walk into a room that you are able to sense whether the vibes are good or the vibes are off, right? So you are clairsentient if you kind of struggle being in big crowds sometimes, like you're feeling like everyone's energy. Maybe you avoid watching the news because it makes you feel like shit. Like I know I definitely avoid watching the news. Then you might also feel the presence of spirits. Like this is something that I never really experienced, only like throughout my the middle of my life so far. Like through high school and things, I didn't have that. But when I was a kid, I used to like run to my parents' room because I felt like there were people in my room. And I also I have experiences now when I meditate where I can feel the presence of other energies. You can physically feel other people's pain or emotion. So you might be someone that cries when you see other people cry, or you get emotional watching emotional movies. And potentially when you first meet people, you have really strong gut feelings about them. Like, what first come to my mind is a story about this person. I'm like, okay, I don't really want to give too much away, but I remember when I first moved out of home, we were looking for a housemate to join our house and flat share with us. And I was so excited. I was like, yes, this is going to be amazing. And when I first met this person, the new housemate that we had got coming to move in with us, I had this strong gut feeling like, oh no. And in my mind, I was like, what do you mean, Elise? Like, stop projecting. Like, why are you thinking like this? This person is so lovely and nice to my face. Like, How could I ever think anything ill of her? And I remember saying to my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm just going to say this out loud. I just had a really weird gut feeling about this person. Like, it's all good, but I just want to leave this here just in case I'm right. Because then if I am right, in the future, I will know to trust this feeling more. Long story short, many, many months later, I was definitely right. So that's how I'm going to leave that story. Now, claircognizant, okay? So people that are claircognizant, which essentially means like that just knowing. When you know that you know, but you don't know how you know. Usually these people have a fast working mind, like their thoughts are really fast. You spend a lot of time thinking. You can foresee problems and difficulties. You speak really fast. Like for me, I have to slow my speaking down sometimes. You like to learn alone. So you like to be alone. You like to learn alone. You have very creative ideas. You have persistent thoughts or messages. So for example, for me, I remember I had this persistent thought before I moved to the Gold Coast to message a particular person to have a meeting. And I was like, nah. Like at this point in my life, I was still holding on to a lot of fear of what everyone else would think of me. So I would avoid like stepping out of my comfort zone a lot. And I remember I had this thought, like, you should message this person. I was like, no, they'll think I'm weird. Then it will be awkward. What if they say no? And I encourage you, if you have thought a thought more than once for an extended period of time, it's more than likely that this thought isn't just a thought, but it's actually a message. So I encourage you, what is that thought you've been thinking about that hasn't gone away? For me, it's been many things. It was messaging that person. It was breaking up with my ex-partner, where I thought, oh, no, that's just my thoughts, right? No, it was a message, and it won't go away until you follow through on it. So these types of people, they like learning and, like I said, persistent thoughts or messages. So then we have clairalience, which is basically your sense of smell. So some people really experience like strong scent. So like if you get really sensitive to perfumes, to cigarette smoke, like all these things, if you are quite sensitive to that, it might be a sign that you're clairalience. You might be able to smell loved ones or familiar scents out of the blue. Like you might be just walking somewhere and that you might smell something that reminded you of a loved one that has passed away or that is alive, either one. I know for me, like I sometimes get this. This isn't one of my strong suits, but yeah, definitely if you meet someone that has a bad smell, it might not necessarily mean that they actually have a bad smell to everybody else, but you're picking up on it because it's kind of like the bad gut feeling about someone. It's like they're giving off a bad smell to you, and it's important that you note that down about that person, okay? So you might be able to smell odors that are out of context. You don't know where they're coming from. This could be like warning signs, and yeah, you typically notice how other people smell. So if someone smells good, that is more than likely a good sign. Clairgustance is taste. So a strong sense of taste. You're most likely a foodie or are in the food industry, and you can literally and figuratively like taste your environment. So you might have an experience that leaves a bad taste in your mouth, or you might meet someone that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. You know what I mean? So that is also your warning sign as well. You might have bad breath after meeting someone, and then that could be a sign as well. I can't really speak into this too much because for me, I haven't really practiced taste. However, in my latest episode about Paris, and I spoke about the coordinates story, I did mention that when I guessed the coordinates of Paris, I did have the taste of like pastry come to me. So that is something I need to practice. Clairtangency is apparently a rare gift, potentially because it's something that like you really have to like, what's the word? It's something that goes against all of this society's like things that they teach you in school in regards to like you must see it to believe it. A lot of people that have clairtangency, it's like about physical touch. So you'll be able to touch something and then potentially be able to see that thing, that object, that person's history, future, or their present. So you might know something's going to happen before it happens. You might be able to feel the energy of a place or a person and receive information through touch. So like if someone touches you and you have a vision of something, like for example, when I was in Rome and I was at the Colosseum, I could feel the energy of the place, whereby I was like, oh my God, like this is intense. And I was kind of like, I need to get out of here, because I had visions being there, feeling the energy there of like what actually went on in that place, which was intense. Then we go into away from the clair gifts and more into like astral projection. Now, this is so cool. I'm not a doctor, so if you've experienced things like any of what I've said above and you're actually concerned for your well-being, I definitely recommend going to seek a professional doctor. But at the same time, like if you have experienced this and you're still wondering and you still have questions, then, and if this resonates with you, then I am so glad. Astral projection is something that feels like an out-of-body experience. Basically, your soul leaves your body and travels different dimensions. And if you want a separate podcast delving deep into that topic, then I can definitely do that for you. But today I'm just going to say we're just traveling different dimensions, okay? People that have experienced sleep paralysis or hallucinations, it's like a sense of like floating, usually have projected out of their body. It's like a sinking feeling, buzzing, shaking, wave-like sensation. It's like, leaving your body. A lot of people that have a near-death experience astral project, their soul leaves their body, and that's just their soul leaving their body because their body's in so much physical pain. I had an experience in a breathwork journey where my soul left my body and it actually felt like I fell through the floor like a roller coaster. My gut like sunk as if you were going down a roller coaster ride, and I physically felt my body fall through the floor. That's all I can really describe it as. It was a crazy experience. It also happens to me when I meditate as well. My soul can travel different dimensions and I can receive different information from these dimensions to then translate it into this reality. So very, very cool, and it is easier than what it sounds. Automatic writing is also a gift, and it can be known as channeling as well. For me, I have been channeling my entire life, and I didn't even realize, through writing, through singing. I've always been writing lyrics for songs, creating art, speaking obviously is one of my passions. And you may notice listening to some of my episodes where I'm in total flow and I'm not like thinking or feeling anything. It's just like all through the heart, and I am channeling. That is automatic writing essentially. And so for me, I really started to experience this through meditation, whereby I started to meditate and I set the intention to receive guidance, and I would start writing, and I wouldn't know what I was going to write or say next. When I channel for people in client sessions, like I don't even know what I'm going to say next. I'm just trusting what comes through is exactly what that person needs to know at that specific time. Automatic writing can also be channeling light language and channeling light language symbols, which I have also done. And if you want to learn more about that too, you can also message me. If you want to hear a separate podcast, I can definitely delve into that. But yeah, for now, I'll just leave it with, it is basically just writing and translating energy from other realms into this reality, into the written word form, so it makes sense. I feel like I'm explaining that not very good, but that is essentially what it is. You also have like telepathy as well, remote viewing. So telepathy is what you see in movies, right? You'll be able to know when someone's thinking of you. And this is kind of happens when you're thinking of someone and then they call you. Like, that is telepathy. For me, this is something that I've really started to experience, and I didn't think that I was telepathic at all until I started experiencing these things and going like, oh, maybe I am more gifted in this area than I realized. Because I remember first knowing this when I started going to the gym in the Gold Coast, and I started having these thoughts that just like weren't mine. I was like, where's this shit coming from? Like, I never thought this in my life. Like, why am I thinking like this? And I started to realize like maybe like these aren't my thoughts and I'm just hearing everybody else. Like, maybe it's just because it's so busy in here, everyone else is thinking this and then I'm just hearing it. That was like a huge breakthrough moment for me. And now, like, it's literally when I'm in conversation with people, I kind of know what they're going to say before they're going to say it. You might experience this too. So yeah, I'm just sharing what I've gone through. So hopefully that maybe something may resonate with you and you might go, oh, like maybe next time I go to the gym, I can realize that actually it's not me thinking that, it could be just somebody else. Then we have energy healing. So you may have heard of like Reiki, and this is essentially just like healing with your hands. This is something that I would do in my elevation events, whereby I'd go through each participant and move energy through their body as they do the breath work. Now, this is something that I didn't know I could do again. And I remember getting an opportunity to facilitate at a breathwork event early on when I first moved to the Gold Coast. And I remember being around all these breathwork facilitators and they're like, okay, Elise, like if someone goes into a trauma response or if someone is having quite an emotional experience, just call us over. We'll help you. It will be okay. Like, you know, we're here to support you. I know it's your first time holding space. And I just remember thinking like, these guys, like, just watch me do this. I know what I'm doing. And it was just like this inner feeling, like not anything to prove, but more so like, I didn't even know how to explain it. It was just like, I already know what I'm doing. Yeah, I've done this for lifetimes. That's how it felt. And I remember like just going into autopilot, like moving energy, helping these people through their breathwork journey. People were experiencing like intense trauma responses, and I was there helping them get down and dirty, like in the front line, right, of this experience for people. And I remember these other assistants were like, oh my gosh, like Elise is doing some amazing stuff here. Like just let Elise do it and like support Elise. And I was like, this is hilarious. Like this is absolutely hilarious because like all of these people had doubted that I could even do anything like this. And I didn't even know that I could. And to then be able to just be in that, it was like something took over my body. It was just, yeah, it was a really beautiful experience and quite funny. So as I have listed through most of the psychic abilities that you could potentially have, know that like you have the access to all of them. It's just a matter of what your practice like is and what you're aware of and what you prefer, what you've grown up with. So there's lots of confounding variables here. I hope and trust that whatever I've listed, me explaining my story, signs, etc., that you've resonated with at least one of these things. And if you have, and you're wondering how you can make your gifts and abilities stronger, then this next part is for you. So if you're like, okay, I want to get better at this, or even if you're like, oh, I didn't resonate with any of that, like I want to have superpowers, know that you totally can. And these are my tips for you. We live in a vibrational universe. Everything in this universe is energy. Like 99% of the universe is energy and information. Emotions are energy. What you put in your body is energy. To receive a high vibrational ability and gift, you must fully prime your body and your vessel to be able to receive that. So what do I actually mean by this? Okay, if you have a skinny little wire, let's say, like a skinny little wire, and you try and put the whole town's electricity through that wire, what's it going to do? It's going to blow up. There's many times that I have been in meditation and tried to receive more than what I was ready for. And honestly, I have felt so shit afterwards. Like I felt so tired, lethargic. So it's really important that it's just practice over time. Know that if you keep trusting, if you keep learning, if you keep practicing, that all of these gifts will come to you in the exact perfect time. Like if I had all these things come to me as soon as I left my relationship back in 2020 and I went through that massive breakup and therefore awakening process where I'd moved to the Gold Coast and started my online business over there, if I had everything come to me all at once, being able to read past lives, being able to read people's thoughts, being able to see the future, being able to see the past, being able to hear messages through songs, being able to taste, smell, what have you, astral project, automatic write, I would have been extremely overwhelmed and I would have been like, holy shit, I'm crazy. And then I would have pushed it away. There have been many psychics that I have met in my life who have mentioned that they were so strongly gifted when they were a child, but then an experience like this has happened to them where they've seen a spirit, they've seen something, and it has scared them, and they've then blocked their gifts from the world. They don't want to know about it because they've had that bad experience. So for me, I was lucky enough to have these gifts slowly unfold in the exact perfect timing and way that I was able to then receive them. Okay. So like I said, if you put the whole town's electricity through this skinny little wire, it's going to blow up. So it's important that you build this wire, add the thickness over time, okay? So how do you do that? Right. Holding on to negative emotions from your past is not going to serve you. You must let go of the fear. You must let go of the fear. You must let go of the anger. You must let go of the guilt, the shame, the sadness. Suppressing and repressing emotions and escaping emotions will not serve you. So what do I mean by this? Suppressing is when the feeling comes up, but then you're like, no, I'm fine. And you just suppress it and you push it away and you don't feel it. Repressing is when you have an emotion come up or a painful event and you refuse to feel it and therefore deny and project and blame, complain, justify. You refuse to feel the feeling. And then escaping is literally running away from the feeling entirely. So that could be where you see workaholics, people with addictions, people that are binge drinking on the weekends, meaningless sex, binge eating, over exercising is all escapism from painful emotions. You must let go of this pain to be able to elevate vibrationally in your vessel. The actionable steps that you can utilize right now to elevate your vibration, your body, okay, would be the fastest way is to be around someone who's already doing it. So hiring a coach. Like I said earlier before, like I've had readings with people where I channel. When clients sign up with me, I channel specific messages that are relevant to their highest expression. So if you are wanting to elevate your vibration, 100%, this is what I do. Message me, head to my website, and let's work together because this is something that like I am an expert in. I've done the work. I know how to elevate your vibration. But if you're like, okay, well, I want to try do this myself first, that's totally fine. The first thing I would say is to meditate. Meditate. I preach meditation because, well, I do it every day and I've seen so many benefits from this. It's a way you can connect in with your abilities and yourself. Meditation is key if you want to enhance your gifts and abilities and elevate your vibration, okay? Spending time outdoors, making sure you're in nature, journaling, drinking filtered water, exercise, making sure that you are listening to the sounds around you. Maybe practice reading for other people, practice visualizing in your meditations, practice trusting your intuition. Like if you're not sure what to eat for dinner, just trust the first answer that comes to mind and then go with that. Or you don't know if you want to go left or right. What's the first answer that comes to mind? Right. Okay, let's go right. And just keep practicing and living your day like this. Practice like listening or reading other people's energies, practice breath work, and practice like intentionally smelling things. So when you like eat something, smell your food before you eat. Another thing as well, if you want to practice seeing auras, what you would do is just get your hand up against a white wall and just kind of stare at your hand. Stare at your hand. And as you stare at your hand, you may start to notice that around your hand, the outline of your hand kind of blurs a bit, and you may see like this color or glow. I don't even know how to describe it, but you might see like an outline around your hands and your fingers, and that is your aura. So if you practice this on yourself, you might then be able to start seeing this on other people when you're talking to them. Like for me now, when I look at people, I can see their aura around their head. It's crazy. So these are my tangible tips on how to enhance your abilities. And if you are loving this episode, please let me know. Like, make sure you rate and review. Give this episode a 5-star review and rating, because obviously the more people that see this, share on your story, the more people that see this, the more people that I can help. Because I know time and time again, I've literally questioned myself, like, am I going crazy? Like, is anyone else experiencing this? And every time I've shared this message, so many people have been like, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing. I have been so scared to speak about this because I've been worried about what other people think of me. So if I can be that for others out there that are struggling, thinking that like they're alone, then this is just, it's really special that I can do that via this platform. So definitely, if you resonated with this episode, please share it on your stories on Instagram. Tag me at Elise Riley with 2 Ys. Like I said, make sure you leave a 5-star review and rating so my show can get out there to more people. And if you did really, really enjoy it, feel free to message me on Instagram. Head to my website, generationelevation.com.au, for all guided meditations, courses, etc. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next episode. Mwah.
Thank you for being a part of the Generation Elevation community. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating, written review, share, and tag me on Instagram at elise.riley. Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep rising.